There is a pattern that feels responsible, but it produces instability. I see it repeatedly in small early stage businesses run by good people who are trying to do the right thing. Most of the early stage entrepreneurs who don't have stable income are not in that situation because they lack skill. And it's not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack motivation, not because they lack opportunity. The early stage solopreneurs who have income that is unstable is because they're making good decisions without first deciding which decision governs the rest of their decisions. And it's very hard to see when you're in it. Because each decision feels responsible in the moment. So let me show you. Each decision makes sense on its own. Take the new project, learn the new tool, add a new service, expand the offer, try a new niche. Individual, none of these things are actually wrong. They're good, valid decisions. But collectively, they fragment authority. And fragmented authority does not compound. It exhausts. Many of the struggling solo entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs, are scattered, which is causing the struggle. They're struggling not because they don't know what to do. They're struggling because they're scattered in many different directions. Not because they lack discipline, but because every new idea feels like a responsible investment of time. Good ideas are often the most dangerous distractions. In January, we talked about leadership. Not leadership as charisma, not leadership as title, not leadership as position, leadership as responsibility. Responsibility for direction, responsibility for consequences, responsibility for what you choose to not pursue. We talked about friction. That my goodness, I got a whole bunch of notifications. We talked about friction. We talked that growth without friction is usually an illusion. We talked about friction is sometimes external and unavoidable. And sometimes it's self-induced by unintentionally accepting responsibility without the requisite authority. And sometimes friction is created by language with multiple meanings. We talked about funnels as human behavior, and that skipping steps in the planning process doesn't eliminate work. It displaces it in time. Displaced work usually shows up later, and it shows up as instability when the results are more expensive and they're harder to correct. These weren't marketing lessons. They were governance lessons. Because leadership begins when you accept that your decisions have consequences, even in that rare situation where the only person affected is you. And we talked about agency. Agency levels 0, moral and psychological agency. You are a thinking person. Agency layer 1, responsibility for yourself. You choose which obligations you accept. Layer 2, execution, agency of doing the work. Layer 3, representation, acting on someone else's behalf. Layer 4, judgment, deciding what matters, either for someone else or for yourself. And layer 5 of agency is the business structure and access that give you the business systems where authority and responsibility align. That's the top layer. It's the one in our high-level ecosphere that we talk about the most. We talk about an agency. But all those other meanings are layered underneath the surface. And when those layers collapse, responsibility moves to people without their consent. And then last week, we talked about authority. We talked about how authority is context specific, how authority is granted. You cannot just assume authority. And that authority without friction, authority without access is a fiction. And so when authority is imposed without granting of the access, responsibility expands without the necessary resources. Because just authority is granted to us by those who live with our decisions, those who are impacted by our decisions. Last week, we talked about authority is context specific. Today, the context is your business. Today, we're talking about how you have authority over your own business practices and whether you're exercising that authority. So if no one tells you when to work, if no one tells you what to sell, if no one tells you how to price, you already have agency. The question is, are you using that agency deliberately? But this is what I want you to reflect on as we're talking, or as I'm talking and you're listening. But I'm monitoring Facebook Live, so if someone comments, I might see those comments. Yeah, I should be able to see those. Reflect on this. Where in your business are you operating by reaction instead of by decision? Today, we're going to apply what we've been talking about for the last couple months using a practical governance tool. We're going to use the 9-point marketing plan not to design our outreach and not as a deep technical workshop, but as a structure to help you ask one crucial question. Is the task that I'm doing right now essential to the direction that I have chosen? Or is it a distraction that simply feels productive? And here's the reality. Concepts are safe when we hold them at a distance. They become uncomfortable when we see ourselves in them. So we're going to make this concrete because leadership, agency, authority, structure, if they don't show up in real business decisions, they don't stabilize anything. So we're going to make the ideas concrete, but we're going to talk about someone else abstract. we're going to talk about somebody we're going to call Alex. Alex is not a caricature and it's not a cautionary tale. It's just a common pattern I see very often in our space. Alex is, for purpose of this discussion, a web designer and started freelancing a couple years ago. He's talented. He delivers good work. His clients like him. But his income is just inconsistent. So he expands. He learns funnels. They're just a different kind of website, right? He adds the CRM build that does the follow-up with the website. Then he's experimenting with SEO, AEO, GEO, EIEIO to make the website perform better. He takes an ad management course. He starts offering automation packages. He does a whole bunch of AI trainings and starts offering AI as a service or AI agents as a product. Each one of those additions makes sense. Every expansion feels responsible. Because each one could improve revenue. Every one of those could make him a more valuable resource. Any one of them could finally stabilize his environment, his things. But over time, something subtle happens. His message gets broader. His offer gets blurrier. His marketing channel shifts every few months, depending on what he's focused on and who he thinks might buy it. And he changes his sales process continuously, depending on who he's talking to. He's always busy. And he's always almost. Here's the pattern. Alex, here's the new idea. It seems like a smart choice. So he buys the training. He offers the service. He underprices because he's new in that space. It expands his scope, and suddenly he's behind in all of the things that he's doing again. Nothing in this cycle is irrational. It makes sense, but it's not strategic. The problem is not that Alex lacks ideas. He has plenty of ideas and lots of opportunities. The problem is that Alex has not chosen a direction. I submit that many struggling solopreneurs are scattered, not because they lack discipline, but because every new idea seems like a reasonable investment of time. For me, it sounded like this. Oh, we're going to know if this idea is going to work in about 90 days. And then I wouldn't give it 90 days. 45 or 60 days later, I was saying, in 90 days, we're going to know if this new idea is going to work. Good ideas are very often the most dangerous distractions because they are good ideas. The 9-point marketing plan is not about complexity. It is about organizing clarity. It is broad enough to not skip steps, but it's simple enough to not become a writing project in and of itself. It's broad enough to keep you from overemphasizing one aspect that is essential to business stability while totally missing some other. So we're going to walk Alex through the 9-point marketing plan, not with the intention of critiquing him, but to observe where structure is missing and where authority is leaking. So this framework is inspired by Alan Dibb's The One-Page Marketing Plan. I've adapted it slightly for solo operators inside the GHL Business Launch community, but the framework comes out of the one-page marketing. But the 9-point marketing plan is not telling Alex what to do. What we're going to use it for is a diagnostic tool to show what Alex is already doing. So in the planning stage, before doing the marketing, Alex says his target market is small businesses without a website. Okay. There's hundreds of thousands of small businesses that start every year in the United States. So small businesses isn't clearly defined. The Small Business Administration defines small businesses, depending on the industry, as number of employees between 250 and 500, depending on the industry. I would submit that a 250 employee business is not a small business. Do 250 employee businesses have a website already? So maybe Alex's target audience is too broad. What does any small business actually mean? He's offering websites, but also funnel style websites. And he's offering SEO, which is a whole bunch of technical and a whole bunch of off-site activity for the graphic design and copywriting of the public-facing part of the website. And yes, those are components of each other, but they are very different skill sets. And he's offering automations to follow up with people who engage with the website. An entirely different skill set. And this thing called AI comes along, and we layer that in, and we say we're going to add a AI chat widget on the website, and we're going to add AI in follow-up. And suddenly, what is he actually offering? Is that one offer, or is it 5, or maybe 10? And the marketing channels issue. How you communicate on Instagram and how you communicate on LinkedIn are different because the listening audience is different. The platform culture is different. How you communicate in a cold email versus how you communicate to a warm email to a referral is very different. What you write in your ad copy when you're running ads is different than what you write in your Instagram or your Facebook organic post. Now, what you can do is you can do some market testing or using organic, and then you can run paid ads to leverage what you learned, or you can draft what you think is correct for your organic, and you can run paid ads as a testing environment to see which A/B tests, which split test works. But the skill set of running an ad campaign and the skill set of writing organic content are two different skill sets. If you're constantly doing something different, how do you ever get good at any of it? Clarity beats volume. Focus beats activity. And then we get to the during. So now, after Alex has decided what marketing system he's going to follow, or in this case, obviously isn't following a plan. Now he has multiple different tools that he needs because he's got paid ad responses coming in, he's got organic responses coming in. And yes, you can use automations, but there are different automations to capture off of a lead form versus a organic offer of a lead magnet. The follow-up system for a cold email campaign is different than a follow-up system for a how you follow up with a one-to-one referral via a three-way email email introduction. So Alex ends up with these different systems, but they're not integrated, giving him a picture of where the clients that are actually turning into paying customers, or the contacts that are turning into paying clients, are actually coming from. So it creates this lead nurture system, 0.5 of the 9-point marketing plan, that looks like a newsletter, but he doesn't actually write that newsletter on a regular basis. So it goes out intermittently. There's no pattern to when he's engaging the people who've opted in to receive marketing messages from them. He has posts on his social media, and maybe he's using high-level social planner, and so he's got content being posted, but now it's tone-deaf content because it's pre-scheduled and it has no interaction with either what he's doing live or, oh wait, I get a mirror. Guilty doing it. Organic content pre-scheduled isn't related to what he's doing live, and it's also not fact-checked against what's currently happening in the information sphere, in the information domain, the public awareness of things like natural disasters. So you get touch points. They're mistimed when that person would actually be listening. And because Alex is offering 3, 4, 5 different things, depending on how we couch it, the messages that he's putting out for one are disjointed with what he's putting out for another. So when somebody goes onto his social media page and starts scrolling, they're seeing something that's not aligned with what they thought they received from him in an email. When I was first in my undergraduate business school, we were told that it takes 7 touches to get a buying decision. That was in the last quarter of the 20th century. Then I spent a very significant amount of time in the US Army and came back out of the Army, back into the business world. And my MBA courses was still saying 7 touches, but I don't think that's the reality. What I see is something more like 18 to 24 touches. So let's call it 21 touches. In our funnels discussion a couple weeks ago, I said, your customer's experience is not linear, it's random. They're busy living their life, and you're trying to impose a framework of your funnel on their life that isn't related to their life. So you have to have multiple touches over time to not to disrupt them in the sense of jerking them out of their life, but to raise your offer to a level of awareness in their life that they can actually make a decision about your offer. And so back to Alex on point 6, because he's got 5 or 6 different offers or services on the table. Now he has to do a custom proposal for every single client. And the clients are coming in from multiple different places, and depending on how they word the initial interaction, he might think they want one thing and they want something else. And so he having to go back and forth to create a customer proposal for every single sale. He cannot productize a service. He cannot customize, he cannot standardize a package. Everything is hand done because he's scattered, he's diffused, he's not focused. So my question to you is Alex building a business, or is he reinventing it every single week? And then we have what on the chart is called after. It's after the marketing process turns into a sale, as Drucker said, to the customer, the company is marketing. The customer, everything the customer experiences about your business is marketing of your business. So what Alan Dibb is saying with customer experience and lifetime value of the customer as part of the marketing plan is how that customer experiences the fulfillment of their original contract drives how they feel about whether the product they're getting met their expectations. And in Alex's case, when every offer is unique, every interaction must be manual, and therefore it is unpredictable. And the result is inconsistent onboarding. And some people get a great website right away, and some people get a great AI agent right away, but the website fails. In this case, the automations aren't all aligned correctly because he got partway through and then he got distracted by someone else's build. And when there's no standardized packages, the lifetime value of the customer opportunities dissolve because there's no clear upsell downsell path. There's no clear subscription path because some client gets all of that in the initial package, and this other person, they get one small piece. And if that was an entry level tripwire product, it would make sense then to offer them in a nurturing campaign opportunities to purchase an ongoing subscription. But they can't be standardized package because this other person already has all of those same things included in their native package, in their initial package. And so unless he segmented his audience very carefully, suddenly he's messaging this person with this offer. And referrals become accidental. If he doesn't know what he does, how can his friends know when they should refer people to him? Or said in the first person, would you recommend Alex? Do you know what to recommend Alex for? Do you know what he does? Alex is not irresponsible. He's understructured. He is not irresponsible. He is understructured. Nothing Alex is doing is wrong. There are people with very successful businesses doing every single one of those services, every single one of those features, every single one of those products. But his business isn't aligned. Does Alex have a cohesive marketing plan? If Alex was a 20-person agency, the conversation will be totally different because a 20-person agency has capacity to do multiple things simultaneously. As a solopreneur, freelancer, VA, web designer, funnel builder, automation specialist, Alex has finite capacity. He cannot be everything to everyone, everywhere, at every time. The 9-point marketing plan is a tool to help you see where your activity is misaligned with your objectives. Alignment is not about creating rigidity. Alignment is not about forcing you to only do one linear checklist thing. Alignment is not created by working harder. Alignment is created by reducing the variables. So if the answer for you to the items on the screen is no for most of them, you don't need more ideas. There's plenty of ideas. We live in the 21st century. We live in the second quarter of the 21st century. Ideas are easy to come by. What you need is fewer decisions, but they need to be the right decisions for you. If you found yourself saying yes to different opportunities that then haven't compounded into stability, you're not alone. You are normal. Every one of us has done it at some point. Here's the reality. You are capable of more restraint than you've been shown by other people. So here's how we begin seeing a path forward for you towards stability. Instead of adding complexity, reduce the variables. The 5 points: one target audience, one offer, one marketing channel, one sales process, 1 year. Not forever, 1 year. You don't need more ideas. You need fewer decisions made deliberately. When you choose one audience, you stop rewriting your identity. When you choose one offer, you stop renegotiating competence. When you choose one channel, you stop restarting visibility. When you choose one sales process, you stop improvising authority. And when you choose 1 year, you allow momentum to grow. Note, this is really important. 1 year is not a prison sentence. It's a testing horizon. I'm convinced that you can change your business systems in 30 days. And in 90 days, you will likely start seeing the financial indicators of the track that you're on, the trajectory you're on, because of those change of systems. but you won't have stability yet. 1 year is enough time for the new systems to stabilize into real data. You don't have to commit to perfection. What you're committing to is observation. You're committing to an experiment in real time in the real world. And the reason that you need to do it is concentration creates clarity. Clarity creates consistency. And consistency creates stability. So this is not about narrowing your potential. It's about narrowing your variables. Focus has been described as follow one course until success. Not until boredom, not until doubt, not until the next big thing, not until the next webinar, until success. And in this case, I mean by the word success, data, repeatability, stability. Not perfection, stability. Because an opportunity is not an obligation. Just because someone offers an opportunity to you does not mean you're obligated to implement that opportunity. Just because someone presents a project to you doesn't mean you're obligated to take responsibility for that project. Because clarity is not restriction, it's your authority over your own business. So no one's commenting live. So that makes this next thing easy. This is a reflection question. Even if you were commenting live on anything else, but no one is, so I'm good. Do not answer this question out loud. This is your question for you to ponder. If you were to choose one audience, one offer, and one channel for 1 year until February 2027, what would you have to say no to? And here's why this is hard. Choosing one audience means saying no to other audiences. Choosing one offer means declining projects that technically you have the skills to do. Choosing one channel, choosing one lead magnet means watching others appear to move faster somewhere else. That tension is real. But it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're governed. Because here's the thing, shiny object syndrome is not about chasing bad ideas. It's about chasing good ideas at the wrong time for you. It is a good idea, and for someone else, it probably is the right time. But if it's the wrong time for you, that's what makes it a shiny object for you. Thank you, Dave Robs. And I used an I earlier in this sentence. I want to say this very clearly. I experienced this issue too. I get lots of invitations to AI training. I have enough SEO skill that I get people asking me to do SEO on their websites. I'm quite competent with high level, and therefore I get invitations to do account build outs. Many of those opportunities are great opportunities for me. But I choose to do just enough technical work in high level to keep my skills up and not do the deep builds, because doing so would be distraction from the GHL business launch mission. That restraint is not a limitation. It is self-governance. None of these thoughts, opportunity is not obligation. None of these thoughts that go through your head are stupid thoughts. They are normal thoughts. The middle one, it feels responsible. I deliberately started the conversation there, and I'm going to end the conversation there. I'm now in the middle of the conversation. I'm saying it again. These are responsible adult decisions. They are normal. And we make decisions emotionally and justify them logically. And we can justify using reasonableness criteria, a decision that seems right, but is a distraction. So when the opportunity is presented, the question is, are you letting these normal thoughts that go through your head govern the direction of your business? Or do you have a plan for your business that you use to decide what to do next? Here's another way that a lack of focus might play out for you. When I first got out of the Army and back into business, or into business in a business role, I was so busy going to networking events and collecting business cards that I never built the relationships. The networking groups were a shiny object for me. They gave an appearance of my target audience clustered in one place, waiting for me to pounce. But I didn't have an engagement strategy. I mistook proximity for strategy. And social media can have the same effect. It is easy to put your message in front of many people. It is hard to slow down long enough to actually see the person behind the profile and their needs behind their public message. This is one of the hardest lessons of any early stage business. Knowing when to say no. It is totally normal to feel like you need to say yes to everything because you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. When you are under financial pressure, narrowing can feel dangerous. I understand that. I recognize that. You do have to do what you have to do. The structure that I'm talking about today does not eliminate survival work. Having the framework to self-evaluate prevents that survival work from inadvertently becoming an enduring identity that you never intended to have. And nothing I'm saying today means that you have to go immediately change anything this week. Actually, doing that would be chasing a shiny object. Don't do that. You aren't behind. You are simply not yet concentrated. I'm asking you to take the time while you're still busy earning a day-to-day living to look at where you could possibly reduce complexity in your business. And the 9-point marketing plan is a framework for doing that. Because authority for your business means deciding what not to pursue. Opportunity is not obligation. You don't need to move faster. You need to move more coherently. Because coherence is what compounds, while scattered effort evaporates. Governance without reflection becomes rigidity. So I'm not asking you to lock yourself into something. I'm asking you to evaluate what it is that you're doing. So we're going to end with posture, not prescription. Two weeks ago, we talked about agency. Last week, we talked about authority. Today, we talked about governance. If you are the owner, even if you're the owner of a business with only one employee, you hold decision authority. No one is assigning your strategy. No one is choosing your audience. No one is defining your offer. No one is selecting your channel. That freedom is agency layer 0. That responsibility is agency layer 1, layer 2, 3, 4. Layer 5, the business, is the structure you build around your agency for your life, your responsibility for your life, your freedom for your life. If no one tells you when to work, you have agency. If no one tells you what to pursue, you have authority. The difference between an owner and an employee is decision authority. The question is not whether you have it. The question is how deliberately you choose to use it. And this is very important. I am not anti-learning. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. I'm not anti-new idea. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't make appropriate changes in your business. I'm saying you shouldn't reorganize your identity every single month. I'm saying that you should deliberately make some decisions about who and what you want to be in 30, 90, 180, 365 days. Clarity is not restriction. It is authority by you over your own business. So here's what you should sit with this week. Where in your business are you expanding because you're anxious instead of refining because you're being deliberate? Sometimes clarity isn't telling you what to do. Sometimes it just helps you stop making the situation you're in worse. Thank you for taking the time to think through this with me today.